Hey guys, welcome to another 72 DPI video. Today we're going to be learning to play Last Defense. This game was designed by Prospero Hall and published by Funko Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game where you are taking on the roles of unlikely heroes trying to defend your neighborhood and city against some monstrous threats that are appearing all over your city. And basically, the way you're going to be doing this is by rescuing scientists and bringing them back to the central location, which is the plaza, in order to defeat those monsters. So let's go ahead and start with the setup, and then we'll take a look at the different phases of the turn and teach you guys how to play. So first up, what you're going to want to do is select a character to play, and there are 6 different characters with their own character cards. They are these nice little figurines that are color-coded based on one of the primary colors of their character card here. So you'll want to select a character. They each have, there's no abilities or anything like that, just kind of what speaks to you. They each do have kind of like a home base. So like the barbecue dad, his home base is the neighborhood. The skateboarder, she is the shopping mall. They're kind of like their home base, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I've selected 4 different characters here, so we will set up a 4-player game for us, so you can kind of see how things lay out here. So once everybody has selected their miniatures and grabbed their actual card that matches their miniatures, they will go ahead and put their mini characters on the plaza at the center location here. Now we're going to set up the scientists, which are these red and white tokens here. They've got the question mark on them here. On the reverse side, they have what scientists they are. So there's a couple different ones. There's also a helicopter symbol here. We'll talk a little bit about that once we get into like the movement and stuff. But just know that you'll want to give these a nice good shuffle or mix them up. You're going to lay them face down in an individual stack here. Just like this. Again, making sure that they are mixed up so that no one knows who they are, where they are, and just make sure that they're nice and randomized. After you get those laid out, then you will take the rubble tokens. These are the little brown, like rock-looking tokens. On the reverse side of them, they have a blue background and they show 2 different icons on them. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. But you'll want to give these a good shuffle and then place 1 rubble token on top of each of the scientists. Making sure, again, that the scientists say face down, the rubble tokens say face down, so all that information is randomized and hidden from all players. There are 13 scientists and there are 13 rubble tokens, so once you got those all covered up, we can go ahead and move on to the monsters or the threats, and you'll want to place their character cards face down so that the black and white side is face up. Each card is double-sided, so you've got a black and white side, and then you have a full color side. So the black and white side sticks up at the very beginning, and then you can go ahead and place the standees for each one of those next to their card. To there, and the junk blob. So then the last couple things you'll want to do is you've got a tools deck. You'll want to give this a nice shuffle and just make sure that it too is randomized, and then you'll place it face down on the tool indicated space there on the board. Then you've got 2 dice. You got a pink one and then a white and green one there. And that's the board setup. The last part that you'll need to do is download the application for Last Defense. It's available on Android as well as iPhone and the Apple Store. It's a free app. It's very minimal. You're really looking to download this app for a couple different reasons. You'll need to use it to actually play the game, but it's got a timer on there since this is a time-limited game. You'll have 20 minutes to complete the game, otherwise everyone loses. The other thing that the application does is it tells you where the monsters are placed and where they move to. So that's the nice thing. I won't actually bring out the app and for this learn to play. It's pretty self-explanatory on how the app works. Once you have everything set up, there's a begin the game button, and you can choose from a couple different difficulty options. But at the very beginning, when you turn the app on, like right after you click begin game, it'll tell you what monsters are where there's going to be rubble and stuff like that. And that is the setup. So let's go ahead and move into the different phases of the game. There's a total of 6 phases. Some are a little bit easier and simpler than others, and it simply begins with rolling the dice. The first player goes to the person whose birthday is next, so they will roll the dice. You do get the opportunity to re-roll one time, so if you don't like what you have rolled the first time, you can give yourself another roll, and you have to take the second roll. So you'll notice I've got a 1 on the green and white dice and a 2 on the pink and yellow dice. The second phase is to draw your tools, so you'll draw cards equal to your roll for your green and white dice, so you'll draw a single card, and that'll go to your hand. So at the start of the game, it's going to tell you where to place some rubble tokens and where scientists have been located at, and you'll just kind of place those throughout the map. The second phase that you'll go through is the movement phase, and that is dictated on your pink dice, and it tells you how many spaces you can move. So you take your character and move that many spaces. Now, keep in mind all these spaces are connected. Some of them do have dead ends, so like the hospital is only accessible through the offices, and once you're at the hospital, you can't go anywhere else. You have to turn back and go through the offices again. Same is true at the school, only you can only get there through the neighborhood, and once you go to the school, you have to go back to the neighborhood. The other spaces are all connected as a figure 8 with the plaza in the center. Now, as far as movement's concerned, if you end your turn on a space that has rubble, right? Remember, in the rubble is these brown tokens on top of the scientists. If you end your turn on a piece that has a rubble, you're going to flip the rubble over, keeping the scientist's secret still. And now it's going to give you 2 images of what you need to collect to remove that piece of rubble. So for example, this one, I need to have the 2 tools of the binoculars and the med kit. So you'll leave that face up. If you have those tools, you simply just discard those to the discard pile, and now you can remove the rubble token, set that aside, and now you can take the actual scientist and place it on your character card. Okay, so then from there, once you have the scientist on your character card, now you can move freely with that scientist on your turn, on your next turns. Essentially what you're trying to do is get the scientist back to the plaza in the center, so basically ending your turn on that center piece, and then dropping the scientist off there. So then the next phase is to trade a tool, and the only way to do this is by giving a tool to someone that you've ended your space on. So for example, if I was the barbecue dad and I was to end my turn on the zoo with the soccer champ, I could give him 1 card for his collection. So phase 5 is pretty simple. You discard down to 5 cards. If you have less than 5, obviously you just do nothing this phase. Phase 6 is the end of your turn. That's where you'll take the dice and hand them to the person to your left, and they will begin their turn. And that's really all the different phases to your personal turn. The threats will be announced throughout the game, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So the monsters or the threats will be announced into the game throughout the game. So, for example, the app will tell you spider robots have been seen at the construction site. So you'll take the standee and place it at the construction site. You'll take their card and flip it over to the colored side, so it'll show you a whole bunch of information here as to what actual scientists are required to defeat this monster. You'll put that face side up so everybody sees that information. So then you'll also take a randomized scientist and the rubble token and place it on their location. Now from here, you might hear the app announce, oh, spider robots have now been seen at the gardens, right? And again, you'll take a randomized scientist and a rubble token and place it there. Now, if you happen to be at at that location, you will then take your standee and move him back to the rest area. The other thing that you will do is any scientists that you had on your character card, those will be placed at where you last were when the monster showed up. So going forward, to pick up that scientist, a player will have to go to that location to actually pick up the scientist. And this is, you can do this a couple different ways if there's still a monster at that location. If you have a flare card, this will give you kind of immunity for the whole round, so you can kind of ignore that location. So let's say, for argument's sake, that the soccer champ had the flare. They can go ahead and discard the flare card and move into the gardens. They'll immediately pick up the scientist that I dropped from the monster appearing, placing that on top of their character card, and then they will reveal the rubble token to show what's available. And then they will not be affected by the monster. The other way to avoid the monsters is to be at your home location. So, for example, if I was at the neighborhood and the tentacle spiders or the spider robots showed up, I wouldn't be affected because that's kind of my home base or home location, if you will. So you can move freely into and past monsters in that location if they are either that's your home location, or you have discarded a flare that turn. So basically, to win the game, all you have to do is defeat all the monsters that the game has thrown at you. This could be 3, this could be 4 different monsters. There could be all 4 of them on the board at once, moving all over the place, creating more rubble, and you having to save more and more scientists. Now, keep in mind, when you pick up a scientist, your character can go back to the plaza and drop them off, even if there's not a monster that requires that scientist. This is a great way to kind of be prepared for monsters that will appear onto the board at a later time. And if you've already got the scientists on the plaza to defeat that monster, you can already check that monster off in the app, and that's kind of how it tracks what monsters are showing up and what needs to be defeated to finish the game. So you'll continue in this fashion, just rolling the dice, picking up your tools, moving your character, and uncovering the rubble, which tells you which items you need to discard in order to get the scientists. So the helicopters work identically to the scientists as far as uncovering them, so they will also have a rubble token on top of them. So you'll have to move to that location, uncover the actual tools that are required, discard those tools, and then you will gain the helicopter token to your character card. This will never leave your character card until you use it. So if a monster shows up on your location, you will discard all of your actual scientists that are on your character card. Those will get discarded to that space. The helicopters stay at your location. Now, the cool thing about the helicopters is you can move to any location during your move phase. So you can discard this face down and then move to any location, whether it's connected or not. Move back to the plaza to drop off scientists. Once you've used the token, you'll kind of move it back and shuffle it back in randomly with the rest of the tokens here. And that's kind of one of the things that you'll need to do randomly, is make sure that you're constantly putting the scientists that you've used back down and shuffling those back up, so that way you can reuse them. Yeah, so once you have all the monsters defeated and flipped back over to their black and white sides, you can remove their standees. And once you've defeated all the monsters that are in your specific game, the game immediately ends, no matter whose turn it is or no matter how much time is left on the timer. As long as there's still time on that timer, you win the game. So that is how you play Last Defense. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you've played this game before. Definitely worth picking up. There will be a purchase link down in the description. It'll be an Amazon affiliate link, so if you're interested in purchasing it and you use that link, Amazon will give us a kickback to our channel. It won't cost you anything extra. This is just a great way to support the channel. If you'd like to support the channel other ways, sharing and liking and all commenting, all that stuff goes a long way, and we greatly do appreciate it. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.